All right, so welcome everyone. Welcome back to the Meet the Maker interview series. Thank you for watching. If you're watching, my name's Marcy, and today I have Amy Bowie and Annie from Miss Amy's LLC, the daycare in Abingdon. And I'm really excited because Miss Amy's, the students of Miss Amy, their art is going to be one of our featured blooming artists at the Bristol and Bloom event. So thank you all so much for joining me this morning to chat about everything that you're doing. If you would, just maybe for anybody who doesn't know who you all are, just take a second, introduce yourselves, and tell us a little bit about Miss Amy's.
Okay, so I'm Amy Bowie. I'm the owner and director of Miss Amy's Child Care in Abingdon, and we are a Reggio-inspired center. So what that means is in Reggio, it's a style of early childhood that comes from Italy. So it is an art-based theory in early childhood that children learn all things through art and can learn all things. Reading, writing, all those things can come through from art. So we have a big focus on art. And Miss Annie, who's beside me, is our art teacher. So you want to tell a little bit about yourself, Miss Annie?
I'm Annie, and I have an art degree. I majored in studio art at Emory and Henry College. I still practice artwork a little bit, mainly like textile artwork. I have 2 kids that go to Miss Amy's, and I am usually the art teacher.
Sometimes she's other things, but art teacher.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I know that for myself, so Saoirse goes to Miss Amy's, and I love Miss Amy's. I love Miss Amy's so much and everything that you all do, and your system for learning, and the Reggio Emilia inspired style of learning. I think it's so awesome. And I know for children like mine, like Saoirse, who's so independent, and she's very independent, and she's also very active. Like she just likes to be moving. And so for me, it was important to find a daycare for her that wouldn't necessarily try to tame those things out of her.
Right.
And do more to nurture those qualities and encourage her to embrace those qualities.
Absolutely.
And so that was why, when we first came to tour Miss Amy's, I fell in love immediately, because she just fell right in place on that day. And it was really beautiful and powerful and emotional to witness just how at home she felt,
right,
having been there for 5 minutes. And that's what I think is really great about the environment that you all create for the children, is that it encourages them to be children.
Right, which is what we want to encourage, because real learning can't take place unless they feel comfortable and secure in their environment. And so much real learning takes place here every day. It's just magical, really. But it is all about setting up the environment and the opportunities for the children to learn in their own way. Most children learn when they're moving. They don't learn when they're sitting still. Their brains are active and their bodies are active. And, really you just have to embrace that and let it be what it is. We spend a good deal of time outside every day, and we do art outside. I mean, Annie will have projects set up, on the porch or in the yard. She can talk a little bit about that, about some of the art that she does in that respect.
Yeah. So yeah, Annie, so what kind of art environment and art projects and activities are you doing for the kids there?
Well, like Miss Amy was talking about, in the summertime, we do a lot of art outside. And usually that art is a little bit messier. We do a lot of painting outdoors, and usually kids need to be washed off a little afterwards.
but they love it.
It is. It's a wonderful experience. We made some. And we don't just do painting. We made some. Like we try to work with a lot of different mediums because I think it is important for exploration. Like to be touching different textures, to be exploring different materials, and what you can create with those materials is very important. I know indoor, when I set up the art, I try to set it up in 3 stations, and usually I'll have one that's kind of more 2D, but one that's more 3D. So you'll be, they have different activities and art processes to choose from. And then the third one is usually, who knows?
Who knows? Here you go, guys, and let's see what you do with this.
Well, what I think is really great and awesome about it too, and the environment that you all are creating for them to be creating art, is that, as I feel like as we get older, and I know for myself, this is something that I've struggled with sort of unlearning, is this focus on the finished product and this perfectionist tendency. And what you all are encouraging is just that exploration and that play and that freedom.
Right.
And there's so much magic happens.
Absolutely.
You can find that place of just unlimited, liberated exploration and freedom. And so I think it's really cool. I wish that there were environments like this for like daycares for grown-ups to go to.
Right. I mean, people need that, it's therapeutic. I mean, children get so much from that, just that exploration, just that ability to have open-ended and not be told this is what your project needs to look like, because so many children can't achieve that and don't want to achieve that. They have their own ideas, and I think it's important to let them have their own ideas.
Yeah.
Art is something that comes from you, and no one can tell you what your art should be. Your art is what you want it to be.
Yeah. So as far as I know, maybe just tell a little bit about how the daycare runs. So you've got the younger kids that are downstairs usually when it's not a pandemic and there's
right. When we're not trying to traverse a pandemic,
Yes. And then you've got the older kids that are upstairs. So what are the age ranges that you're working with? And then Annie, for you also, does that change as far as the art projects that you're using for the younger kids and the older kids? And how do you accommodate that?
So the age range are 22 months through age 5, and they are separated most of the time. Not always on the playground, but right now, actually, we have to separate them on the playground. So there's just a lot of relearning for us right now to try to make things, to still be able to give the children those experiences all the time. That's been really challenging. But Annie can certainly talk to how she changes things. And I don't think you really change things a whole lot. I mean, I think you present things, maybe there are a couple of things that you do with the older kids that you wouldn't do with the younger kids, but mostly it's just all the same.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, I think that I do work a lot with the older kids because I'm primarily upstairs, but I've done art with the younger kids too, as well, especially like the outdoor art because everyone is involved. And I don't think there's a lot of modifications that need to be made for the older kids versus like the younger kids. It is a lot about exploration, and I mean, you're not trying to achieve a specific product, and I think it's just like a fun process, and it might, like, you might have different results from the younger kids and the older kids, but I think that they each have their own value, and yeah.
And so what about when you're trying to, because I know a lot of Miss Amy's is about, and the Reggio Emilia format, I guess, is about letting the children sort of guide the the lessons for the most part. So it's the teachers are in a way following the impulses and interests of the children. So how does that play a role in the art activities that they do as well, as far as the things that they express interested in touching, or materials maybe that they're working with?
I would say definitely. I try to communicate a lot with Miss Amber and Miss Susie to see like what kind of themes or interests they are exploring outside of the art room, and I try to incorporate them in the art room setting. So for like example, we went through a phase where some of the kids are very interested in like ships and boats and like the process of exchanging packages. So we explored those themes for a while. We built our own boat out of cardboard and try to make each aspect of the boat its own kind of individual art project. Like the sail we worked on one day, and the box, and then it was a very enjoyable project. So.
That sounds like so much fun.
That boat for 3 months. After it was finished, it was put out in the block area, and they sailed and they had adventures, and it was great. I mean,
well, is the ship wheel still out there on the playground?
Oh yes.
I really think the kids are more engaged in the art when you are exploring something that they're interested in versus just like putting out projects. Like it's fun to look on Pinterest for projects, but I really try to keep in mind like what the specific group is interested in, so that I do things outside of their interests just to see, if they pick up a new interest. But I do like to try to incorporate what they are exploring in the art.
So what are some things that they are showing interest in now?
So Miss Annie is actually at home right now, unfortunately, but hopefully we're going to bring her back very, very soon. And so right now, because they're outside a lot, they're very interested in the dirt and the sand, and they've been doing a lot of messy things. Water and dirt and sand and those kinds of things. And they've actually been using a lot of chalk recently and chalk paint. We make it ourselves, and so that's fun, and our groups have been a little different, a little bit of a different age range. When all this started, we had to divide the groups in kind of in not our normal way. So I know the children for Mother's Day painted rocks.
I love mine.
The teachers went to the river and picked up. And we washed all the rocks, and then they painted them, and they did some bead work with wire and, made a photo holder. So
so that's another element to with Miss Amy's also, is that you use a lot of found items.
We do, because, children relate more to those items than they do, say, something that comes from a store, because we spend so much time outside. A child will take a leaf and make something out of it. I mean, or some dirt, or, I mean, those things are common to children. So they're comfortable with those items, and they're free.
Yes. Well, and it's funny that you say that, because Saoirse just yesterday was handing me rocks and like, here, have a cookie.
Right. We actually have painted some rocks and put them in our kitchen area, and the kids use those for food sometimes, instead of the plastic food. They like the rocks,
Yeah.
Heavy on a plate, but
Well, I think what's great about that too is that they're using their imagination more.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that's really awesome. I just love, like I've already said, I love Miss Amy so much and everything that you all are doing, just because I know that I can see firsthand like what it does for Saoirse and her development. I mean, she is just, I try to encourage her independence as much as I can and encourage that creative spirit as well. But having that environment that she gets to go and spend time in and socialize with people too, because she's very social as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And so getting to see her just blossom and becoming the person that, you know, I mean, she's always going to be growing and changing, but
Yeah.
really coming into her character and her personality. And I feel like, again, you know, with the way her personality is, because it is such a strong personality, it was really important for me to have her in an environment that would do that versus seeing those things as problematic.
Right.
Because, you know, like I was saying, she likes to move around. She's very active. She's
Sure.
very independent. So if she were to be in a more, an environment, say, where they had her sitting all day and like had to color
Right.
between the lines,
Right.
she would struggle, and they would probably, I would be worried that it would hinder her confidence.
Right.
And so,
No, that's really, I mean, I guess that's our unwritten motto is please don't color in the lines, you know.
I love that.
Please just do what you feel, you know, and be who you are, and we'll help you find that path that's kind and generous and a good heart and all those things that we want our children to be, you know.
Yeah. So just behind you there, it looks like that's some art made by the kids.
Yes.
Which I love seeing. And I love all the stuff that Saoirse sends home or comes home with. And my painted rock, I love that very much. So for the Bristol and Bloom event, you're kind of planning to have similar things set up that the children have made that people can come and see.
Right. Yes.
And then otherwise, we had also talked about like activities that the children could do, which I know we had talked about that happening at the time when it was going to happen in May.
Right.
Yeah.
Now it being August, that'll look a little bit different. But
Right.
yeah, so I just think that way for the event that's happening on Saturday, August 8th, people can come by and get a little taste of what it's like to be at Miss Amy's.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and see some
Children, and we'll play, you know, we'll make a little mess. And
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's one thing that I love too when picking Saoirse up from Miss Amy's is that she's usually pretty gross and she's jumping sand out of her shoes.
Yeah.
And I love that. And that's what I want for her always.
Right. Yeah, we're definitely not the right place if you don't want your child filthy at the end of the day.
Cool. Well, I love what you all are doing so much, and I am so grateful for you all to be part of our family and for the care and the love that you show Saoirse. I'm just super thankful for you all and what you're doing, and I definitely thank you so much for joining me on this call today too.
Thank you for inviting us. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Good. Cool. Well, we will chat again soon, okay?
Okay.